In part 3, as we continue discussing the millennial kingdom, we dealt directly with the prophecies about Messiah when he comes back in the clouds and takes the throne of David. That understanding is extremely important to take in as we are waiting for his day to come. There are so many different misunderstandings about the millennial reign and what Messiah is coming to do. And as you go through these videos, it should be more easier to see that the confusion is often due to a lack of study of the scriptures in full. When I discuss the end times and even the covenant, I have often found that the reason for people's misunderstandings about the last days, it has to do with this current topic that we're about to deal with. And the lack of understanding is for multiple reasons. One major reason is that the devil has lied and says that this has already happened in 1948, and also because people practice replacement theology, a doctrine that teaches them that the Bible is all about Christians and God saving them. The truth is that this subject is a major reason why people are not ready for what is coming in this world. As we discuss the millennial kingdom and what will be happening in the last days, it's important that the prophecy of the restoration of Yasharel, Israel, this topic is right at the top of your understanding when you're asked, what are you waiting for our Father to do? When Messiah comes back, we are waiting for him to restore Israel. And so we need to understand what it is this actually means according to Bible prophecy. So in this part 4, we are going to discuss the prophecies of the restoration of Israel and what that means when understanding the millennial kingdom. This is a big topic. Let's begin. Okay, so like I started with, there's a lot of confusion around this topic. You see, what has happened is that Satan has hijacked the conversation and placed his own fulfillment to Yah's prophecy right in the secular. And after this happened, many people that believe in the Bible have felt that this prophecy was already fulfilled. Many people felt that when the United Nations gave the land of Israel to now the current occupants, that this was the fulfillment of Bible prophecy.
Inhabited by both Arabs and Jews, Palestine had been under the rule of Great Britain for 3 decades. In 1947, Britain announced that it planned to leave, its soldiers and economy exhausted by World War II. Zionists saw the chance to establish a country of their own, while Arabs denounced the proposed Jewish state as an attempt to steal Arab land. War between Arabs and Jews seemed inevitable. Zionist leaders turned to Jewish Americans, now the largest Jewish community in the world, soliciting funds from those Jews who saw the state of Israel as the fulfillment of a 2,000-year-old dream.
American Jews made the difference in having a state or not having a state.
The UN session is being transmitted to Palestine, where huddled over radios or listening to loudspeakers in the streets, the people are avidly following the count.
Afghanistan? No.
The excitement among Jews around the country was overwhelming. Zionism was a popular movement.
Abstention?
Even people who had no intention of going there were so ignited by the idea of Jews once again having their pride and having their homeland that it was taken for granted.
Soviet Union? Yes. United Kingdom?
I remember so clearly.
Abstain?
We had our ears glued to the radio for the vote of the UN.
The resolution of the Committee for Palestine was adopted by 30
And when it happened, people just poured into the streets. And my parents were crying, and it was just totally thrilling.
Much excitement when the state was declared. For the first time, we would be able to be, we thought, in charge of our own destiny.
And therefore, it took people fully away from fully understanding Yah's prophecy. You have to understand that Yah does not work in this way. He's not fulfilling this prophecy of his power through the hands of the government. Just as he freed Israel from Egypt through his power alone, he will fulfill this prophecy through his power as well. You must understand that this world hates Yah. And if you looked at the world and what has been transpiring in the world ever since 1948, ever since people believed this prophecy was fulfilled, we have just seen evil consuming the world more than ever. If you do not fill yourself up in truth and allow Yah to be fully your guide, you run the risk of being led by Satan and being against the will of the Most High. He has told us all about it in his word, and we all must believe in what he says more than what the secular world wants to tell us and show us. So this understanding goes back to another topic that's highly controversial. Why is it important to understand who the Hebrews are today? It's because Bible prophecy of the end times is completely surrounded around them. So before we go into the end times prophecy concerning Israel, we must examine the times that we're in right now. At this moment in time, we're in the time of the Gentiles. The times of the Gentiles is the biblical designation from the time when Romans took over Jerusalem in 70 AD and ending with the physical return of Messiah to earth at the end of the Great Tribulation. Yahusha says in Luke chapter 21, verse 24, "And they will fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled." That's Luke chapter 21, verse 24. So it says Judah will fall by the edge of the sword and led away captive into all nations. Again, another reason why I've said the Hebrews are scattered around the world. But they are not in power, but in captivity. Yahusha also prophesied that Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles are fulfilled. And this is currently still happening right now. He prophesied that Jerusalem will be taken over by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. So do you believe that the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled? It's important to understand that we are still in the middle of Bible prophecy being fulfilled. But because of many secular events, people actually want to believe that the time of the Gentiles has been fulfilled. People have said that Jerusalem was recaptured by the Israelis in 1967 during the Six-Day War, and it is no longer in Gentile hands. If you research it, you will see this is mainstream view, and it's possible that you have been influenced by it.
And I'm going to start out with what I think is a real tough one. It's one that I've pondered a lot, Luke 21, 23 to 25. And it talks about, Jesus talks about that Jerusalem will be trampled by the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled. And what's really interesting about this to me, the Amplified Bible reads that into the time of the full number of Gentiles have been come into saving grace, and a lot of Gentiles think that's what it means. What does that fulfilled mean to you?
I believe the time of the Gentiles was fulfilled in 1967 when Israel took Jerusalem, because in 1967, for the first time in centuries, that prophecy in Luke 21 was fulfilled. And for all those centuries before that, what we call the church, the body of believers, was Gentile dominated. But in 1967 was the beginning of the Jesus movement, where hundreds of thousands of Jewish people came in. So now we're no longer just a Gentile church. We're a Jewish Gentile body of believers. We will never go back to the time of the Gentiles. That is gone. The Jews are back, and they're here to stay in the kingdom.
This is why understanding who Israel is can be so important, because it all comes down to whose prophecy are you following and whose power are you believing in. To understand this, I'm going to start in Ezekiel, because Yah gives Ezekiel very clear understandings of this that help illustrate what he will do. Again, the word of Yahweh came to me saying, "As for you, son of man, take a stick for yourself and write on it, for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write on it, for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. Then join them one to another for yourself into one stick, and they will become one in your hand. And when the children of your people speak to you, saying, 'Will you not show us what you mean by these?' say to them, 'Thus says Adonai Yahuwah, surely I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his companions, and I will join them with it, with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they will be one in my hand. And the sticks on which you will write will be in your hand before their eyes.'" That's Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 15 through 20. You see, this is showing that Yahuwah will again unite the house of Jacob, Judah, and Israel. And this is ending the split kingdom. Again, I highlighted this to clearly show that this prophecy has not been fulfilled yet. He said he will join Israel and Judah and bring them back together again, and they will be one in his hand. Now I'm going to keep going in Ezekiel. Then say to them, "Thus says Adonai Yahuwah, surely I will take the children of Israel from among the nations, wherever they have gone, and will gather them from every side and bring them into their own land, and I will make them one nation in the land. On the mountains of Israel, one king shall be over them all. They shall no longer be two nations, nor shall they ever be divided into two kingdoms again. They shall not defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will deliver them from all their dwelling places in which they have sinned, and I will cleanse them. Then they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim. Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 21 through 23. So he has said it again with more details. He said he will gather them from every side and bring them into their own land and make them one nation. They will no longer be two nations or a divided kingdom. He said he will cleanse them, and they shall be his people. You see, this is all about the restoration of Israel. And I must say, I love our Father. I love the way he preserved this prophecy most in the Old Testament, because it truly helps sort out those who love him in truth and those who love him by their word of mouth. So many people say they love him and are about his will, but they have never taken the time to really understand what it is he has said he would do. They think that the New Testament has covered everything, but in fact that attitude exposes them. Most people don't have a clue about what our Father truly desires and plans to do. Let's read more. And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, and such as have escaped of the house of Jacob, will never again depend on him who defeated them, but will depend on Yahuwah, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. The remnant will return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty El. For though your people, O Israel, be as the sand of the sea, a remnant of them will return. The destruction decreed shall overflow with righteousness. For Yahuwah Elohim of hosts will make a determined end in the midst of all the land. That's Isaiah chapter 10, verses 20 through 23. Again, the remnant of Jacob will return. More. For Yahuwah will have mercy on Jacob, and will still choose Israel and settle them in their own land. The strangers will be joined with them, and they will cling to the house of Jacob. Then people will take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel will possess them for servants and maids in the land of Yahuwah. They will take them captive, whose captives they were, and rule over their oppressors. Isaiah chapter 14, verses 1 through 2. You see, the nations who survived the tribulation but did not come into the kingdom, they must cling to Israel if they're going to survive. They will serve Israel until Satan is released again after the 1,000 years. The nations will serve Israel. Israel will take captive those who once ruled over them as oppressors. Let's keep reading. But now, thus says Yahuwah, who created you, O Jacob, and he who formed you, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, nor shall the flames scorch you. For I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. I gave Egypt for your ransom, Ethiopia and Seba in your place. Since you are precious in my sight, you have been honored, and I have loved you. Therefore I will give men for you, and people for your life. Fear not, for I am with you. I will bring your descendants from the east, and gather you from the west. I will say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not keep them back. Bring my sons from afar, and my daughters from the ends of the earth. That's Isaiah chapter 43, verses 1 through 6. Do you see? He will bring Israel's descendants from the east, and gather them from the west. He said he will say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not keep them back. He is not done with Israel. I'm going to read some more scripture so we can really look at how much he has spoken on this promise. But you, Israel, are my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the descendants of Abraham, my friend, with whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called from its farthest regions, and said to you, you are my servant. I have chosen you and have not cast you away. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your Elohim. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Isaiah chapter 41, verses 8 through 10. You see, Yah has clearly stated this is what he intends to do. He said he will take back the descendants of Jacob from the ends of the earth and its farthest regions. He said he has not casted them away. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, who shall stand as a banner to the people. For the Gentiles shall seek him, and his resting place shall be glorious. It shall come to pass in that day that Yahuwah shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people who are left, from Assyria and Egypt, from Pathros and Cush, from Elam and Shinar, from Hamath and the islands of the sea. He will set up a banner for the nations, and will assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. That's Isaiah chapter 11, verses 10 through 12. He said he will assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. This is all there. Let's read some more. Also, your people shall all be righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, Yahuwah, will hasten it in its time. Isaiah chapter 60, verses 21 through 22. You see, the last days are all about coming back into our land, and we will inherit it forever. But I really want you to review how much he has prophesied of this. This is not just one scripture or two scriptures that people are just taking for their own. Look at how much he says it, how many times, how many different prophets. Let's read some more. But I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries where I have driven them, and bring them back to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. I will set up shepherds over them who will feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, nor shall they be lacking, says Yahuwah. Behold, the days are coming, says Yahuwah, that I will raise to David a branch of righteousness. A king shall reign and prosper, and execute judgment and righteousness in the earth. In his days, Judah will be saved, and Israel will dwell safely. Now this is his name by which he will be called, Yahuwah our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days are coming, says Yahuwah, that they shall no longer say, as Yahuwah lives who brought up the children of Israel from the land of Egypt, but as Yahuwah lives who brought up and led the descendants of the house of Israel from the north country and from all the countries where I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. That's Jeremiah chapter 23, verses 3 through 8. He said he will gather the remnant of his flock out of all the countries where he had driven them and bring them back to their fold. He said Judah will be saved and Israel will dwell safely. I mean, he has declared that this was going to be so important that we will no longer say, as Yahuwah lives who brought up the children of Israel from the land of Egypt, but as Yahuwah lives who brought up and led the descendants of the house of Israel from the north country and from all the countries where I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. That means it's a big deal. He said the world is going to recognize him for something even more than what we know of him from Passover. Let's keep reading. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahuwah saying, Thus speaks Yahuwah Elohai of Israel, saying, Write in a book for yourself all the words that I have spoken to you. For behold, the days are coming, says Yahuwah, that I will bring back from captivity my people Israel and Judah, says Yahuwah. And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. Now these are the words that Yahuwah spoke concerning Israel and Judah. That's Jeremiah chapter 30, verses 1 through 4. As I'm going over all this, you may think this is overkill with all these scriptures. And I know, I promise to keep these videos shorter. But in this, I'm trying to drill a point to make it clear. So I'm just going to give you a few more. For thus says Yahuwah, sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations. Proclaim, give praise, and say, O Yahuwah, save your people, the remnant of Israel. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the ends of the earth. Among them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and the one who labors with child together. A great throng shall return there. They shall come with weeping, and with supplications I will lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters, in a straight way in which they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear the word of Yahuwah, O nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He who scattered Israel will gather him, and keep him as a shepherd does his flock. For Yahuwah has redeemed Jacob, and ransomed him from the hand of one stronger than he. That's Jeremiah chapter 31, verses 7 through 11. Also, thus says Yahuwah of hosts, Behold, I will save my people from the land of the east, and from the land of the west. I will bring them back, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. They shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim in truth and righteousness. Zechariah chapter 8, verses 7 and 8. Afterward, the children of Israel shall return and seek Yahuwah their Elohim and David their king. They shall fear Yahuwah and his goodness in the latter days. Hosea chapter 3, verse 5. Thus says Yahuwah Elohim, when I have gathered the house of Israel from the peoples among whom they are scattered, and am hallowed in them in the sight of the Gentiles, then they will dwell in their own land which I gave to my servant Jacob, and they will dwell safely there, build houses, and plant vineyards. Yes, they will dwell securely when I execute judgments on all those around them who despise them. Then they shall know that I am Yahuwah, their Elohim. That's Ezekiel chapter 28, verses 25 through 26. For behold, in those days and at that time, when I bring the captives of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will enter into judgment with them there on account of my people, my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations. They have also divided up my land. That's Joel chapter 3, verses 1 and 2. On that day, I will raise up the tabernacle of David, which has fallen down, and repair its damages. I will raise up its ruins, and rebuild it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom, and all the Gentiles who are called by my name. Says Yahuwah, who does this thing. Behold, the days are coming, says Yahuwah, when the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him who sows seed. The mountains shall drip with sweet wine, and the hills shall flow with it. I will bring back the captives of my people Israel. They shall build the waste cities and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and drink wine from them. They shall also make gardens and eat fruit from them. I will plant them in their land, and no longer shall they be pulled up from the land I have given them, says Yahuwah, your Elohim. That's Amos chapter 9, verses 11 through 15. Do you see? I used many different prophets, just so I can show how many different prophets prophesied of the same thing. This is what we're waiting for. And before I tie this up, if you're a Gentile, and maybe you're confused where you are included in all this, it's because Christianity has not taught you properly. You are absolutely included in this blessing if you come to our Father in truth and truly follow Messiah and let him light your path. You must drop the lies and forget all the falsehoods and reduce your pride. This is why Messiah is a light to the Gentiles. Let's read some. Thus says Yahuwah, keep justice and do righteousness, for my salvation is about to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. Blessed is the man who does this, and the son of man who lays hold on it, who keeps from defiling the Sabbath, and keeps his hand from doing any evil. Do not let the son of the foreigner who has joined himself to Yahuwah speak, saying, Yahuwah has utterly separated me from his people. Nor let the eunuch say, here I am, a dry tree. For thus says Yahuwah to the eunuchs who keep my Sabbaths, and choose what pleases me, and hold fast my covenant, even to them I will give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than that of sons and daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Also, the sons of the foreigners who join themselves to Yahuwah to serve him and to love the name of Yahuwah, to be his servants, everyone who keeps from defiling the Sabbath and holds fast my covenant, even then I will bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices will be accepted on my altar. For my house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations. Yahuwah Elohim, who gathers the outcasts of Israel, says, yet I will gather to him others besides those who are gathered to him. That's Isaiah chapter 56, verses 1 through 8. Don't feel excluded from this. He has prophesied of you. What you need to do is submit yourself to him. And that calls for a hallelujah. Do not be deterred from the rebel Israelites that reject you. They will be rejected. But let's wrap this up. This is what the promises are for the end times. And as we continue on with the series, we will go through this more closely when we get to Messiah in the Gospels. This is what the Yahudim were expecting from Messiah when he came the first time. But what we're going to do is just wrap this up and do a quick recap. This is what you should know about the restoration of Israel. Yahuwah will again unite the whole house of Jacob, Judah, and Israel, ending the split kingdom. He said he will join Israel and Judah and bring them back together again, and they will be one in his hand. He will gather them from every side and bring them into their own land and make them one nation. They will no longer be two nations or a divided kingdom. He said he will cleanse them and they shall be his people. The remnant of Jacob will return. The nations who survived the tribulation but did not come into the kingdom must cling to Israel if they're going to survive. They will serve Israel until Satan is released again after the 1,000 years. Israel will take captive those who once ruled over them as oppressors. He will bring Israel's descendants from the east and gather them from the west. He will say to the north, give them up, and the south, do not keep them back. He said he will take back the descendants of Jacob from the ends of the earth and its farthest regions. He said he has not cast them away. The last days are all about coming back into our land, and we will inherit it forever. And this is the truth of what we're waiting for Yah to do. I challenge you to go to any of these major churches on all these city corners and see if this is what they're waiting for. You see how many times he has said this in all these scriptures and how many different prophets he has told? Think about how much this is actually written in the scriptures. And please know, I didn't even use them all. I just stopped for time's sake. There is a real difference between people living in Christianity and people living and trusting in the word and the promises our Father has actually made us. Think about how many times people use rationalizations for false doctrines of the rapture, but they actually ignore what our Father has truly proclaimed. They are in the strong delusion because they did not love the truth. They did not love Yah with all their heart and their mind. Please know always that the end times is about Yah fulfilling the promises he made to restore Israel. And this is what those of us who love Yahuwah, whether natural branch or wild, this is what we are all waiting for. For your own review later, I have put these scriptures on a PDF. I don't recommend that you just jump to these scriptures though, but you go back and read the prophets for yourselves and understand what is prophesied to happen. This is what the millennial kingdom is all about. It's about Yahusha coming back and reigning over Israel, who Yahuwah has gathered from all the countries around all the world where they're scattered. This is wonderful, and if you're not in tune with the truth, you will miss it and not be a part of it. This understanding is crucial, and we will come back to it later. But now that this has been broken down so that anyone can understand how truly important this is, make sure you devote your life to living in the truth, because it is the truth that sets us free. As you're waiting for the millennial kingdom, stay ready and wait to see how it is that Yahuwah will bring his promises forth. Our job is not to know every detail, but for us to trust that he will do exactly what he has promised. Wait for him, and you will be a part of it. He is going to restore Israel. Be blessed. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Okay, thanks again for watching. If this has blessed you, please make sure to like it and share this video with others. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you subscribe to this channel. Yah willing, I upload every Friday. Also, please don't forget to follow this ministry on Facebook and Instagram, as well as on this website, truthunedited.com. If for any reason you do not see this channel any longer, you can always find this ministry on the website. Make sure you subscribe to the email list to always stay connected. Please, continue to pray for this ministry. As I continue to make these kind of videos, the enemy, he does attack. Your prayers and support are sincerely appreciated. As always, I want to thank those who have donated to this ministry. Your contribution is a huge blessing to this ministry, and it helps me continue on with this assignment. Your support is a blessing, and I'm always humbled by it. I'm very thankful for you. Be blessed. Okay, thanks again everyone for watching. I love you all.